An unprecedented exchange of artwork is taking place between London's National Portrait Gallery and Russia's State Tretyakov Gallery. Each is lending the other some of its most valuable works depicting important cultural figures. The National Portrait Gallery will exhibit paintings of literary giants like Tolstoy and Dostoevsky and musical maestros Tchaikovsky and Rimsky-Korsakov, while the Russian arts expert Elena Sudakova joins me now to talk about it. Lovely to have you on Showcase.
Thank you so much.
So this is being heralded as the most important Russian portrait exhibition in Britain ever. Why is it so important?
So the works that we see on display at the National Portrait Gallery are loaned from an equally important Russian national collection, the Tretyakov Gallery, which owns its name to Pavel Tretyakov, its founder, whose portrait opens the exhibition. Now, Tretyakov collected and commissioned portraits due to two main principles. The first one being historical significance of the sitter, and the second one, the outstanding art quality of the painting itself. And so what we see there is a full myriad of and a burst, the highlights of the Russian intellectuals and the creative minds of the 19th and 20th century, as you said, such as Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, Ostrovsky, musicians as Tchaikovsky, Mussorgsky, Rimsky-Korsakov, and as well as their patrons, Sava Mamontov, Ivan Morozov, and of course Tretyakov himself.
Okay, well, we're going to see some of those now. We can see some of the images now, I think, of...
Yes, exactly, and that's Sava Mamontov, painted by an outstanding Russian artist, Mikhail Vrubil, and that's a very famous portrait of Chekhov by Braz.
Because this was the golden age, wasn't it, when we had this huge flourishing of literature and of music and of art?
Exactly, but what actually emerges during this exhibition is that the Russian visual art was somehow eclipsed by the Russian literature and Russian music. And so you now have an opportunity in the center of London to come and experience and enjoy works by Repin, by Serov, by Vrubil, and there'll be a lot of new discoveries for English and international audiences.
Right, it's exciting. Now tell me, is that the...
That's of course a portrait of Tolstoy.
Yes. We've also got in the collection this incredibly exciting portrait of Dostoevsky, which is a permanent exhibit, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is a permanent exhibit at the Tretyakov Gallery, and I'm sure it feels that all these works are gone. And this is the only live portrait of Dostoevsky by Perov. And of course, Dostoevsky was terribly important for modernism. He anticipated all those human anxieties which he explores in his novels. So that's one of the major icons of the 19th century, visual ones.
We've got a portrait too of Sava Mamontov, which is one of Vrubil's works here, and it's been painted in cubist style before the
Exactly. And Mikhail Vrubil, the artist, and Sava Mamontov, the sitter, was his patron. He kind of felt the doom of Sava Mamontov because that was just before he was put in prison for debt. But yes, the painting is made in a sort of faceted ways. So Vrubil is really one of these inspirations for the Russian avant-garde, which is just about to follow and to emerge. So what we see in the National Gallery is just before artists like Rodchenko and Lisitsky and Malevich appearing, and all of them later said that all of us emerged from Vrubil.
Now, the Tretyakov Gallery is getting loans from the National Portrait Gallery by return. So we've got this incredible cultural exchange going on. They're getting works of Queen Elizabeth, of Charles Dickens, of our important icons. And this is at a time, isn't it, when politically things are cooling down between the two countries, but in terms of the exchange between these institutions, it's never been better.
Yes, it's becoming more and more important. And of course, names like Dickens and Elizabeth and Shakespeare are widely known in Russia, and I'm sure there'll be huge queues to see them. But really putting it in context, there have been major exchanges, there have been a lot of exhibitions, major shows by Turner, by Pre-Raphaelites in Moscow recently, which were a huge hit. At the same time here, we've just seen an exhibition at the Science Museum devoted to cosmonauts, Russian theatre avant-garde explored at the V&A. So these exchanges continued, and we really believe that culture now is like this corridor where we can still keep the conversation open. And only through, getting to know each other, through culture, getting to know each other about each other's values, we can actually build this mutual atmosphere of trust, which, hopefully will carry us to a different level.
Indeed. Well, it's a wonderful opportunity for both countries to see these marvellous works. For now, Elena Sudakova, thank you so much for joining us.